Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name's Granville.
My name's Jonty.
My name's Andy.
My name's Az.
Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome back, Granville. I can't imagine why you've turned up, and you've also turned up with popcorn, I see, Granville. Just because you just thought you'd have the popcorn there as a spectator for the fight that's about to ensue, is that it?
I'm not going to be a spectator.
Of course not.
I'm going to be getting stuck in. I've been looking forward to this for about 3 days.
Yeah, I can't imagine how this goes. Yeah, if you just tuned in, you may have missed it. I wasn't here. I missed it last week. I wasn't around because BT, my cables were broken, and basically I had to get a BT engineer who came on Wednesday, but I had to do it Tuesday, and so I missed last week. Andy, thank you very much for stepping in. Did a fantastic job. As did Luke and Jonty. But I'm back now. My wildcard was active. I couldn't talk about it then. Certainly going to talk about it now because I've got 38 points. I'm sure I'm not going to hear the last of that. So yes, I'm ready. I'm braced for ruck. It might go all right. It might be fun. You might be kind to me, but I imagine Granville won't be. Jonty, what else are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, yeah, so we've got some more wildcard woes in Rough with the Smooth. Premium strikers, mid-price midfielders and slightly more expensive midfielders, especially regarding Paul Pogba possible replacements, who we have discovered has been injured tonight. Wing-back wonders, cheap as chips defenders as well. And also, obviously, looking ahead to Game Week 5, usual clean sheets and fancy item risks. Yeah,
are we going to get all through that and give me a grilling? I don't know. Let's see.
Got plenty of time.
We do.
All the time. We won't be here all night.
Okay, all right. that's why you wanted to start early, was it? That's why Jonty Granville has bought the popcorn. Okay, our game week. So I'll let you do it. This, Jonty. Where do we go first? I guess we go to Az first, don't we? Surely.
Yeah, it's a good week.
Blimey.
just the 80 points. Yeah, it's probably the best game week I've ever had in terms of just everything came off. Pascal Gross, who I've had since the start, came in. I got him in for his assist, and he scored a couple of goals, so I was pretty happy with that. My wing backs scored finally, so a bit of head and heart both came through. Yeah, what can I say? I was very, very happy on Saturday.
So I mean, you have had Gross since the start, and Jonty, the story on him was he created the most chances in the Bundesliga last season. Not known for his goals, he only had one shot before the weekend.
I know. Well, I had a look at the goals on Match of the Day, and he was slightly fortunate, I've got to say, from West Brom. One of the goals, the long-range effort, it just seemed to go through all of the West Ham, usually robust defence there. So I don't think he's going to be scoring them every week, but yeah, it's looking promising, and it's great for those. It's a great story, jumpers for goalpost story. The lad from Germany comes over, people get him into their team game week 1. He gets nothing for weeks, and then he helps Az and many others to get 80 points. Great stuff.
Well, it's good for us because when I was last on, you had a miserable game week. So
I've had a miserable game week every week, so it's nice.
That was a fantasy return, so to speak. Who's next? Who's next, Jonty? Who scored next?
It's me. It's me.
Okay.
So I'm nowhere near Az's Disney heights. 54 points, so about 10 over the average. So happy with that. I've breached the top 1 million. That's what it's come down to. Kane did me proud. Lukaku captain. Ericsson chipped in with a goal. Got Richie, me also chipping in. So that was pretty good. And I just want to mention that if Luke was here, he would be telling us about his points of 62. So he got 62 points in Captain Kane. So I just thought I'd mention that there.
He did well because he's got a triple Southampton defence as well. So he did well get 62 with a Southampton defence.
Well, it's Captain Kane. I mean, that's a massive chunk of your points, and if you've got a fair sprinkling of others, but also he still had a bit of City left. He did get rid of a bit of City. He's still got a bit of City left.
He had a sliver of City.
Yeah, slither of City. Speaking of a slither of City, I understand Granville was quite pleased with Man City's performance.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. The early game. What's the rule? Don't captain in the early game. I broke that rule and captain Jesus. Now I have to admit that coming into Saturday, I had the captaincy on Lukaku, but I just looked at it. Stoke isn't an easy place to go, and United have had trouble there for quite a few years. I just thought, I think this time I'm going to break that rule. I'm going to captain Jesus, and it came in. Now, that was great because I was sitting on from that game, I was sitting on 31 points. So early morning game, finished 31 points. I was going, yes, I can sit back now. I got absolutely nothing from any of my other players, other than, well, I got Lukaku, but obviously he's well owned, and Pogba, they're both well owned. So I wasn't making any points anywhere. So I got 51 points. So I can't complain about that. It's just, again, it's such a great start. You'd expect to do a little bit better than that.
So, Jesus, what do you make about it? I mean, off after the hour mark, wasn't he, as well? I mean, you're not concerned about his pitch time, or do you think he's going to compensate anyway?
I think he is. I really do. I think City, their onus is on attack. We know that. And Pep is going to play as many attackers as he can on the field at the same time. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I think I had a feeling, actually. I mean, I wouldn't normally captain a player against another sort of top, what do you call Liverpool these days, top 4 side? I guess they are. You wouldn't normally do that, but I just figured that they just look so loose at the back, and City do, to be fair. And I just felt there'd be goals in that game. I didn't think it'd be 5-0, but I thought, there'd be 3-2, 3-all. I had a feeling there'd be goals. I just hope that Jesus is going to be on it. He's pretty good, He gets into the positions. He's quite. He missed a chance early in that first half, and I thought, is this going to be one of those days? But he's good.
Yeah, it's funny. Everyone goes on about the Liverpool City defence. They went into that game in terms of shots conceded, the 2 strongest defences in the league. And it is bizarre. People still think that Liverpool and City can't defend, but the stats say otherwise. Not in terms of clean sheets, maybe, but certainly in terms of conceding chances, which we've got to look at, we've got to consider. But there were goals in it, but mainly, I think, because of Mane's.
Well, I was thinking of actually, Liverpool do give up chances on set pieces, or at least that's a perception that they do. That's what I'm been led to believe, and that's what I based my decision on. So
I mean, it's just I think they get a bad press, both City and Liverpool at the moment. I think they're actually a bit stronger at the back than people make out. But anyway, let's move on. Andy's next, isn't he, Jonty?
Yes, he is indeed. Yes.
Yeah, 45 for me this week. It was rubbish, to be honest. I made the exciting transfer of taking out Stevens for Norton, who got me 1 point. Really, it was just the same as you guys. Kane, Eriksen came through for me finally. Captain Lukaku only 6 points. Everyone else got 2 or 1. Nothing really exciting. A bit of frustration at Salah because he gets himself into such good positions and just can't always finish. And obviously he got taken off at half time because of the red card, which I thought was probably a mistake on Klopp's part because he was the only one giving him any kind of outlet. But there we go. I don't think he would have probably scored against 10 men. So yeah, 45 is my worst week so far. Things will hopefully be better next week. But yeah, lots of 2s and 1s for me this week.
Okay, and I got 38 points. So rough and smooth then, Jonty. Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, so first up, we've got a rough from Mark Summons, who
done well there.
Who ill-timed his wild card, but he got some price drops, successfully swerved.
Well,
he avoided those terrible price drops that he would have got for Dan and Fraser. So sounds like a smooth to me. But I think Granville might have a few words.
Oh, dearie me. Is that the best you got?
Well, we just wanted to say that in actual fact you had a successful wild card because you got your price rise, you avoided the price drops. How much did you make? 0.2, was it?
No, I didn't even make that. I made 0.1. I didn't do it for making any money.
I thought you were all over the site saying you did it to avoid the price drops and protect your team value.
One of the reasons was to get rid of the players that were deadwood and dropping. And we've all got some of those. I mean, you've got Sutton and me sitting there that you're going to be like, oh dear, are they going to drop? And it's
still at it. He's still at it.
Why is losing value at this stage of the season a laughing matter? Right. I don't understand why we dismiss losing 0-1.
Right, okay. I mean,
I'll tell you why.
We've all played the game long enough. We all know what it means. It means it's quite important.
It's not as important as points, though. I think that's what we're saying. That I sat on Jesus for 3 weeks, and he's actually scored quite well, but for some reason he dropped in price. I didn't think about getting rid of him.
No, of course not. That's Jesus. But when we're talking about Scott Dan and Ryan Fraser, it's a very different situation, isn't it? Do you not think?
No. I mean, my thing with your wild card, I thought your wild card was quite good for game week 4.
Well, it is good. What's wrong with it?
For game week 4.
Hold on. The only thing that's wrong with it is I've got 38 points this week. Now, that's not the end of the season, is it?
My actual problem isn't what you think people's problem is, and that it's
what is problem?
Error. I actually thought it looked good. Lacazette captain.
The error is the Kane thing.
The error is the long-term planning. It's all over the shop. So basically, your key players that you've still got, the ones you already had, Salah, Mkhitaryan, Lukaku, you could easily have got Ali or Firmino in for just one transfer or another hit. And also, it was based around protecting team value. So you got in Loftus-Cheek, who's not even playing. Tim Krul, who you seem to have forgotten has moved from Newcastle. He's third keeper at Brighton now. Alexander-Arnold competing with Gomez. I had a look at it actually. You got 7 players net transfers out. 5 of them you transferred in. You've actually transferred in.
This is all sounding very familiar to about 12 months ago. And look what happened then.
And this is why I've got to say. This is why I'm the best person to offer this advice. Because you're making the same mistakes I made.
Okay, let's go through the team then. Let's go through the team. Right, Rob Elliott. We're all playing Rob Elliott at the weekend if we got him, haven't we? Right? Fair enough.
No,
so
carry on.
No.
So, who are you playing in goal?
Foster.
Playing Foster at West Ham rather than Elliott at home.
I might play Foster as well.
Stoke.
Because I've got 2 goalkeepers, so I can pick and choose.
All right, I'll tell you what, you play Foster. That worked out well last weekend, didn't it? So you play Foster, that's fine. And I'll play Elliott. I'll take that. I've got Dawson anyway, so that's fine. So I'm playing Dawson for West Brom. So if you get Foster, I'll get Dawson. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, so where is the weakness in the team at the moment? I don't understand.
I think the key is not necessarily that it's a weak team. It's that you could, because we were chatting on Skype and I said I think you could have just sorted out your team with a hit. One hit, get rid of De Bruyne.
No, because it was more than De Bruyne, wasn't it? I would have done De Bruyne to Ali.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you had other things you wanted to deal with. I just didn't know. I just didn't think you necessarily needed to deal with them all in 1 week. I don't think there was enough there to wildcard.
Okay, fine. Okay, listen. Let's look at it. Let's look ahead though to when you guys are going to play the wild card. And
forget about us, Mark. This is your one. Look,
no, I'm just saying this is one of the reasons why we're looking at. One of the reasons why I played it now. Like one of the reasons I know why you're deflected away from your team, by the way. Yeah, and one of the reasons why I played it now is because in about 3 to 4 weeks, there's every chance that we're going to be looking at Kane and Lukaku and Firmino as a strike force anyway. Yeah. Do you not think? No. So maybe. Why would I not get it?
I don't know. We might be looking at Morata. The thing is, this is the key thing about your wildcard is that it's so inflexible. You've created barrier upon barrier. So you've got midfield, 2 of your precious 5 midfield slots are Loftus-Cheek and Tom Carroll. And then you've got this budget defence as well. So say you wanted to get Davies in this week. You can't because you're completely inflexible. And there's nowhere to run. So as I said, about 5 of these players you brought in, the prices are going to drop. You can't run away. You can't run away from a Loftus-Cheek.
Listen, why are you writing off Loftus-Cheek?
He's on the bench.
I don't understand why you're saying Loftus-Cheek was Palace's best player before he got injured. They just got Roy Hodgson.
He's a flair player, and he's just found out that his manager's Roy Hodgson. That's one big reason.
I'll tell you what.
The fact is, he's injured, clearly.
Let's see at the end of the season who's got more points, Loftus-Cheek or Aaron Moy, because Loftus-Cheek can end up in the number 10
role. The thing is, I can get rid of Aaron Moy. I have every intention of getting rid of Aaron Moy because he's 5.5, because I can get cheaper players. You can't run away. I can run away from Aaron Moy, but you can't run away from
Why do I need to run away? I'm only going to play one of them, and I might not have to do that if I play 4 at the back. I don't understand.
But then the other thing, so let's move into the strikers. You ditched Harry Kane. And now,
but only for what that was.
And now you're going to use one of 38 transfers a season to get him back in again.
Yes, that was a gamble. Right? I mean, that was a wrong move. Right? The reason behind that was I thought that Lacazette would outscore Kane at Everton. Right, that was a gamble. That was the one mistake I think, based on what I've done, because that didn't come off. But that's just unfortunate. And I wanted to captain somebody different, because I just think from now on it's going to be Kane and Lukaku all the way if you got them. And I just thought Lacazette would outscore Kane at Spurs. And then I also thought, well, if Kane doesn't score, he could go down in value. Plus, he's got the European tie. He might get injured. So it makes sense to not get him in and hope Lacazette outscores him.
Your preamble.
That was a mistake, but that was a gamble, wasn't it? It was a risk.
I know I can understand the gamble of doing that as well, but it's you play the wild card with a transfer in mind. That's never a good idea. But
no, it's not. No, I agree.
And so you're already a transfer behind a lot of the other people who maybe wildcarded but kept Kane in or didn't, and they're now thinking, well, maybe I'll do something else. But
maybe they've got Mane and Pogba and they're in real trouble. So there's all kinds of maybes, isn't there?
But I think for me the main thing is the double pivot of Loftus-Cheek and Tom Carroll.
Why are you fixated on those?
Because they're so cheap. You can't move away from them unless you
need to
divert money from elsewhere.
I don't need to. I mean, Andy's got Atsu in his team at 5 million. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of difference
from Atsu because he can
I have a go?
Loftus-Cheek.
Why are you knocking Loftus-Cheek? You haven't even seen him play, have you?
No one has because he's not playing. That's the point.
Jonty,
he's got an injury. Deary me.
Jonty, can I have a go?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Quick, tag.
Right, you done
get Granville.
Honestly, you're doing a fantastic job. I think I've taught you well. This is how Scoutcast is supposed to be. This is what I look forward to. Right, let me get stuck in.
Okay, you're in danger of looking very embarrassed in about 6 weeks' time.
So I'm staying quiet.
Really understand.
Mark loves it. If A happens, then B happens. Three. That's
what it's all about, isn't it? That's what fantasy football is, isn't it? What are you talking about?
It's funny that the way that you explain your thing with Kane. I don't understand why you get.
I admit that.
I don't understand why you'd do a wild card to then spend a transfer the next week. But anyway, I'm just looking at your team, and I'd want to wild card that team straight away if I had it.
Okay, all right. Go. Where's the weakness in that team then?
Okay, I tell you what what Jonty was saying about having two weak midfielders. I do agree, but I've got the same, but I've actually got better defenders. I mean, I've got Alonso and Danilo, who have now swapped for Davis.
You've got Sam Vokes up front. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, okay, that was a mistake. We're not dissecting my team. We're dissecting yours.
Well, there you go. It's
I'll give you credit. You got Loftus-Cheek, so I think that's great. But I don't understand Alexander-Arnold neither.
Well, wait and see. We'll wait and see. It's a game. It's another one, right? Like basically,
if you're playing four at the back, why would you have Jones and Cedric? Okay, but Norton and Dawson? No, not for me. Not if you're going to play four at the back.
I'm not going to play.
They're not really big hitters, are they? In any respect.
I'm not playing four at the back. The idea was we'll see whether Alexander-Arnold plays on Saturday against Burnley. If he plays on Saturday, then I would take that he will play in the home games against the teams that were defensive, and therefore he's a good player to have. He takes set pieces, and he's a good player. If he doesn't play on Saturday, then he goes. I'll get a 4 million defender in the future, but it's not going to be a big deal. If he plays on Saturday, though, that is a good player to have. If you think not owning Trent Alexander-Arnold in the Liverpool defence, owning Burnley, taking set pieces, is not a good player, then you shouldn't be on the Scoutcast. So you know that.
You kick me off.
It's a gamble, though, isn't it? It's a gamble. It might not come in, but if it does, a lot of people are going to want Trent Alexander-Arnold because he can easily get a clean sheet and more from that game. And then everyone's going to go 4-5. It's the same for Moreno. We're all looking at him, going, "Well, if he's sure to start, I'll have him." But we're not sure, are we? Whereas with Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think he's going to be first choice. Eventually, we'll see. Okay. We'll see.
But listen, that's only one player. I think. Looking now, what you do. I mean, you're going to spend this transfer on Kane.
Yeah, of course.
So you've actually got another issue, I think, up front, where you've got three big hitters up front. So is that not? Well, I just believe in having someone who's at least mid.
Okay, John, you getting in for Gabbiadini?
I'll probably get Firmino in.
There you go. Right. So there you go. So you're going to.
It doesn't mean that you're right because Jonty might be wrong as well.
Because Firmino's a sensible choice.
Yes, don't hold me up as a beacon of excellent fancy football.
But I'm just saying. I think basically we've seen the budget strikers aren't performing really. Chris Wood, I don't know, but Abraham. I nearly went Abraham with Alonso in defence, and I'm glad I didn't. I got away with that, and I nearly went Lukaku and Pogba and Mkhitaryan. I got away with that. So actually, I've had a bit of luck.
I feel that your team is a little light in defence, and
do you think?
Yeah,
right. I've got Phil Jones.
Like all your defence, the whole lot.
Hold on, let's go through it. Phil Jones, Man United defence.
Yeah.
Craig Dawson.
How long will he last?
The West Brom defence you've got covered with. What do you mean? How long will he last?
Don't talk about my team. Nothing to me. I'm not comparing my team.
I think it's the lack of attacking players in defence that I was surprised with the wing.
Well, maybe
with the wing backs emerging.
Yeah, Ben Davies I want obviously, but
I'm a dull manager. But I looked at that. That's really dull. There's no Alonso. There's no Davies.
No, I couldn't do it.
No one exciting there.
No, I should have got Ben Davies. I looked at it and I thought I got close.
Lacking a Ben Davies. But I noticed that some of those who wildcarded in the Hall of Fame in the top 5, like so, the loads of you wildcarded, 4 out of 5 wildcarded.
Funny that, isn't it?
Funny that.
Weird.
But I've noticed that some of them have said hands up, made a mistake. I'm getting Davies in next.
Yeah, so I made a mistake with that. No, I agree. The one thing
they're doing that because. But you're not, because you've got to use your free transfer on Kane.
Yeah, maybe, but I wouldn't have had the money to do that anyway. I would have used all my budget, wouldn't I? I wouldn't have cared.
No, you haven't got the money because you've made your team really inflexible, and that's the point.
Well,
really.
That's your opinion. We'll see. I mean, I don't think your team's pretty flexible, considering you've got more in Richie tied up.
I made the mistake. I'm not comparing my team
all got issues
at all. This is more. I just think your setup. You've got nowhere to run from these players. And I like so you mentioned Atsu, so he's 5 million. There are others around that price, and then he can go down to the bar.
I'm not looking at him. Okay, well, who do you think I've got to change out of Lukaku, Kane, Firmino, Mkhitaryan, Ali, and Salah? Who's going to change out of those? None of those.
I think it needs. I mean, as Groundhog said, it kind of needs another wild card.
What are you talking about?
Because it's.
I've got 11 players at home at the weekend. Why does that need a wild card?
Because the structure's just all out of whack.
I have to stick up for Mark a little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about. All I've got to do is downgrade one defender, and I've got 0.5. If I had a 4 million defender, not Trent Alexander-Arnold, I could upgrade Loftus-Cheek and Carroll if I wanted to an Atsu. Do I really want to do that? Yeah, I personally think Loftus-Cheek is going to score more points than Atsu. We haven't seen him play yet.
Well, this isn't about Atsu. Let's not
Atsu now.
Keep Atsu out of it.
That's my star man on the bench.
He's a great player, Andy. Don't listen to him.
I feel sorry for the community because I'm not going to get any of their sodding questions answered. Anyway, go on, Andy. What did you say?
I don't agree that it's a bad team right now, that structure-wise it's not bad. And I mainly don't agree with that because this is how my team might look after this week. Yeah, but the difference is I've got a wild card if it goes wrong.
Yeah, but you had a better team to start with.
Yeah. So that's why I said on the Scoutcast last week, obviously everyone's got a different team, but I still think you could have just done with a hit and just changed it up a little bit and not worried about... it seems to have been based around Firmino. And now,
no, absolutely. I came to the conclusion that Firmino was the best third striker to have. And I think as we get further down the Scoutcast now, we'll probably come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I think
he is. Right? So why would I leave it a week when I thought that he would do well at City? It was just unfortunate. They got a man sent off, Liverpool didn't score. Liverpool aren't going to blank many times this season. Had Liverpool kept 11 men on, I think Salah, Mane, or Firmino would have got some points. And then
you just got Firmino in just with a hit, or just a couple, 2 transfers over a couple of weeks.
I could have done De Bruyne to Ali and then Firmino out. Could I have done that? No, I couldn't have afforded Firmino in for Abraham. I had Abraham, didn't I? So I couldn't. This is it. I had a really cheap third striker, and I wanted Firmino, and I had De Bruyne going down. So that was 2 problems I had to address. I also had Dan and Fraser going down. And Firmino was going up. So there was like a 0-5 swing. And I had 2 players that I wanted Firmino, couldn't afford him. So I had to take a hit to correct that. And I would have lost another 0-2 from Dan and Fraser. And I looked at it and thought, that's a wild card. That's enough. And what I'm saying is about going forward is people say, well, you weren't radical enough. And I also think that in 4 or 5 weeks, I don't think any of us sitting here will go, I'm going to go without Kane or Lukaku. And we might not say, well, I'm going to go out Firmino either. And therefore, what do we think we're going to do with these wildcards later on? Probably similar teams to what I've built, because I think you can't go Kane, Lukaku, Firmino and have a really expensive midfield. So you're going to have a couple of 4-5s or maybe a 5 and a 4-5, and you can't have Alonso, or you don't have that front 3. And I think that front 3 are by far the best front 3 to have.
Firmino was playing the best defence that you just said, though.
Yeah, but I know. But I did think that they should have scored. Like Salah should have scored, and it would have been a more open game for them. I know. I didn't expect big points in that game, but I did think that one of Salah and Firmino would get some points. They didn't, and it hurt a lot of people. because they were very popular.
But I think a lot of the players you described, Kane and Lukaku, are players that you had before the wild card. I think that's the point that, I mean, Andy was making as well, is that it just feels that perhaps didn't need to wild card. And I think that was the main thing, really. Your team didn't look that bad. And it didn't seem to be a wild cardy team, you know.
But I think that the difference is we all had 2 or 3 problems. I reckon I had 3 or 4 problems. And I just think that early on, if you've got 3 or 4 problems, and I've said this in the preamble, you see a couple of opportunities. And I thought when Elliott kept his place, then I thought, well, I'm only going to spend 8 million in goal. Because I looked at Elliott's fixtures and I looked at Foster and I thought, I'm probably only going to play Foster in 3 of 8 game weeks. I reckon I can get away with Elliott. And I think Elliott's going to do all right. And it meant that I could get Dawson or a West Brom defender. And I wanted a West Brom defender because I thought Hegazi was going to get dropped. So I want to get him out, but I want the goal threat. I just like having a West Brom defender because, like you said before, whenever they win a corner, it's like, ooh. So I like that. So I wanted Dawson and I thought, well, I'll get Elliott. That was an opportunity. And I do think Trent Alexander-Arnold could work out. It's probably 60% chance.
But what if Elliott gets injured? Where are you then?
I'll buy a keeper, won't I?
You'll have to spend another one of the 38 free transfers.
Well, I mean, Elliott could get injured, but I mean, that
does happen. He got injured.
What percentage would you put on that? In a season, probably 3 keepers get injured, so that could happen. But I'm not really going to plan for that, am I? That's a bit of.
Do you?
I think the norm though with a cheap defender is to get the backup. So you get Elliott and whoever Newcastle's one is, who's not Tim Krul anymore, by the way.
Maybe, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, Ryan's only got to make one mistake, and I think he'll be out of the Brighton goal. I think he's going to be all right for now.
Playing really well
he's
at the
got
moment.
A couple of mistakes. Well, he wasn't. He was under a lot of criticism until Saturday, and they conceded.
You've got to be reading the local paper and all of the big sports journalists down there, because that's where it matters.
Down where I live, you mean? Yeah.
You read Andy Naylor in the Argus. Absolutely raves about Matt Ryan.
So Matt Ryan wasn't under any pressure whatsoever going into Saturday's game. Is that what you're saying? Because I can dig out about 20 links that say he was, but fair enough. Okay.
And how did he deal with that pressure?
No, he did well. He did well. He did
well, exactly.
Well, I didn't know that, did I? When I played the sodding wild card.
No, because you played it too early.
Language to the waited.
If you'd waited,
bloody hell.
If you'd waited, you would have gleaned that valuable information.
Well, that's not that valuable. I still think Elliott got 8 points. Why are we arguing about the merits of playing Elliott when he's outscored your goalkeeper?
It's nothing to. I don't
understand.
Actually,
if I hadn't played the wild card, I would have played Foster and goal and been 8 points worse or 6 points worse off. So,
enough now, Mark.
Yeah.
Why did you buy Krul then? What's the thinking behind that?
I had a feeling that he would be second choice and waiting. I thought, well, eventually he might get a chance. He'll get looking. He might do. But and basically, I thought, well, I'm not going to need a result. I looked at, if you look at Newcastle's fixtures, they've got two tough fixtures in the next 11, and I thought, well, I'll get save points in those. And I thought, well, I'll play Elliott week in, week out. I'll just get a 4 million keeper. Who's the best 4 million keeper? The one who's probably got the most chance of coming in, I thought was Krul, and that's why. So we'll see. So I mean, but like I say, I think I'll do all right playing Elliott. If you look at. I had a look at the Newcastle defence, and it's very similar to Burnley's last season. They don't complete any passes. Elliott made 3 saves at the weekend and got a bonus point. That's because Lascelles, Clark, then none of the fullbacks completed 30 passes. So he's getting BPS and getting into the bonus. So he'll do all right. I think he's a good keeper to have. And at 4 million, why would we not have everyone's got him.
Jonty,
start him every week.
Can we get a table on that? No, seriously, because I had never thought about that. About defenders, if they're not passing to each other, they're not racking up BPS, and then a clean sheet means that
it's exactly what happened to Burnley last season.
That happened with Heaton.
Heaton was making saves. I don't.
Yeah, did you not think it was strange that Elliott got bonus because he only made 3 saves and he got in because none of the back 4 got 2, 4, 6 for passing, and he just about got enough. And if you look at the 3-0 win,
he's in my team. I think he's great. But if he gets injured, then I wouldn't. It's nice to have a backup.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I'm taking a bit of a risk, but I would say it's a pretty tiny one. And okay, fine. If I don't have a keeper one week, then who knows what I'll lose out on? It's not going to be a hatful of points. It might be a clean sheet, but I'll deal with that if it comes up. But I think that's a minor concern. I'm not losing sleep over that one. I'm more concerned about not having Ben Davies. That was a mistake. Fair enough. Everyone wants him now. And, he's got Swansea. He's got a gimme, hasn't he, for next week? So he's going to get points again. He'll be 5-9 before I can afford him. But maybe we're not all getting him in. I mean, you and Andy have both got to get Gabbiadini out. So probably that's your priority. I don't know. Or maybe you've got 2 transfers.
Or Pogba.
Yeah, and Pogba. And people have got Mane. So lots of people have got things to do that they perhaps can't get Davis now. I still feel, I look at my team and think I've got 11 at home at the weekend. I like that 11. I think Loftus-Cheek will be fine. He'll get, once he's in the team, he'll be fine. He'll do all right. He'll definitely justify 4-5. And my defence, I need Davis, but I can sort that out. I can change the money around the defence, but I don't see me changing the front 3. And I think getting the front 3 was my priority because I had Abraham and I couldn't do it without a hit. And I'd be taking a hit and still having Fraser and Dan. And I just thought, well, I'm not doing that.
I think we're slating Mark's team, but wasn't there a wild card that cost someone 40 points or something, John T, in the rough of the smooth?
What?
There is. Well done. Well done for keeping us on the track for the notes.
Yeah, let's go back to the community questions then. Go on.
So well done, Az. Yes, let's go and have a look at some teams that have actually had a bit of a rougher time than Mark of it. So another Mark Wood, he wildcarded out Gross, Kolasinac, Ramsey, and KDB. Bought in Loftus-Cheek, Norton, and Mane. So it got even worse. Also, that he could afford to get Firmino in. Parallels there. But his net loss was 41 points. So that's pretty bad. And I checked as well. And he really did lose that as well. So there's Athria. He benched Davies, played his wildcard in game week 3. And this is now the 2nd week in his row where his pre-wildcard team, which he was tracking, would have scored more. And Gregor, he wildcarded out Kane and Jesus, and now wants to use his free transfer to get Kane back in. So lots of us there. But some smooths. Let's listen to some smooths. So Jarrell, he's another gross owner. Happy days for him. He also got Lervra's cheeky clean sheet, and I like this because obviously Huddersfield conceded, but Lervra got subbed off.
Yeah.
Just in time. And I quite like these. So he got that clean sheet. And shirtless, he captained Kane and he had Gross as well, 82 points, really similar to ours there. Bubs, not only did he get Lervra's points, he got them off the bench as well, even better. How smooth is that? He actually went off to the toilet when Lervra got subbed off. Didn't know he'd been subbed off. Continued to watch the game. Turned it off in frustration and anger because he thought he'd lost his clean sheet. And he only found out like the next day. So that was quite nice. And Jay, this is a nice one. Jay in the Hall of Fame, the only one not to wildcard. He's in the Hall of Fame top 5.
Oh, Jay Ingersdorf, yes.
Yeah. And in fact, he saved a transfer. He did, and he kept KDB. He thought, no, I think KDB's going to do okay. And he got 68 points. So I think that's pretty smooth. The keeping of KDB when he knew that all 4 of the other top 5 in the Hall of Fame had all wildcarded. So
he's the only one of the top 5 not to wildcard, was he?
No. So he's the one to watch because he's got his wildcard out and his team's good and he's got 2 free transfers. It just doesn't get smoother.
Well, he's a good manager. He knows what he's doing. But I mean, the KDB thing. I mean, the guy who lost, was it 41 points? You look at that and think the logic of that. KDB. Everyone was getting rid. I mean, I can't say that. I mean, I know if I calculated how I would have done, it would be pretty close. I wouldn't have done particularly well if I'd not wildcarded, but no way I would have kept KDB. KDB to Ali would have been my transfer, so I can't really count those points. And that guy got rid of Gross. If you look at it and think, well, Gross hadn't started the season particularly well. It's understandable, isn't it? I mean, the point that haul came from nowhere, really, especially against West Brom, because I thought, well, if Brighton are going to score, they're only going to score 1. So you can understand why he did it. It's
perfectly fair. The expected goals for Brighton for that game was 0.35.
Yeah.
Like they play that game again, they don't even score. So, do you know what I mean? They got a bit lucky getting rid of Gross, and I think most people got rid of De Bruyne for a Spurs man. I think in the long term it'll pay off for less money. So, yeah. I mean, 41 points is a bit of a killer, but you can pick yourself up again. I think he's.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about De Bruyne because I mean, there's a lot of lol at De Bruyne sellers and stuff, but we don't really still want him, do we? He got 9 points, but he's not. If you were looking at the top 5 or 6 midfielders to have, he still wouldn't be in there for me because of the role he's playing. He was playing against 10 men. It's unfortunate because we've seen him play with 10 men and against 10 men at home this season. We haven't really seen him at home in a game which has been a normal match, really. So we can't really judge him at the S yet, but away from home, he was definitely deeper. So we don't want him, do we? I mean, what do you think on that, Jonty?
No, I mean, I got rid of him in game week 3. I just think he played too deep till then. Yes, he got those assists in that game, but it was just his price really. He just wasn't offering that value. And well, I got Eriksen in for him. I just looked at Eriksen and KDB, and even afterwards, even now, I would still swap KDB for Eriksen.
Yeah,
because one's cheaper and one's, I think, better. So. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, as you got views on KDB? None of us have still got him, I take it.
No, I saw him a few weeks ago for Pogba, which was not turned out too well. But yeah, I mean, for 10 million in a 5-goal route, you want more than 2 assists and no bonus, don't you? I don't know. It's not. I watched it and didn't think he was playing a bit higher up, but he still didn't look like he was ever going to score, and they were completely dominant. So. I just still don't think he's worth the money. Yeah.
So I think anyone who lost De Bruyne's points don't have to fret if they got in. But I mean, if you got rid of De Bruyne, you probably got a decent replacement. Let's face it, because he costs so much. So I don't think that's a concern for anyone on the De Bruyne front. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, should we do the community questions then? What's the first one then?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is kind of slightly linked into the wildcarding, really. It's Paolo Di Canio is something that lots of people are talking about. Team price changes don't seem to be happening as quickly as we thought, particularly price rises as well. So he basically asks, is chasing team value aggressively, as successfully worked last season? Is it perhaps not the best strategy now? There's fewer price changes, he was saying. So, yeah, he just doesn't feel that it's right. And there probably is evidence for that. And obviously, we've also seen today the aggressive way of getting an early transfer in to get a price rise, as in Pogba, hasn't quite paid off because they've still got fixtures to come. Now, last season, a lot of these players miraculously got through their midweek games. We've already seen a high-profile injury this time. So, yeah, I think he's got a point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I've noticed, it's not really the rises that have... I think the drops are really strange this season. I mean, I look at it and think... Like I wanted to get Ben Mee in, right, at the weekend, and one of the reasons why I didn't get him in, I got Norton, even though I fancied him. I did think that would sting me, and it did. And Mee was going down. I thought, well, how's that happening? And then he's still going down now, even though he got a clean sheet. And it's a very, I think the 4-5 defenders seem to be weirdly just not getting any traction at all. And I think that's the only issue I think with the prices at the moment, is that I had Dan, as I say. Me's going down. There's a few others in there. I mean, all the Bournemouth defence went down as well. I mean, it's like, I don't know if that's different. I don't know what's changed. But certainly the rises aren't as aggressive at the moment. Maybe that will change when Hazard, Sanchez, and maybe these injuries will sort out as well. Andy, your views on this one?
I mean, I don't know if the amount of players in general. I mean, there's already nearly 5 million players, which is way ahead of even last year. So I don't know if that's affecting them. People just obviously much more interested in the game at the start, so they're more active, making more transfers maybe. I mean, in terms of chasing team value, I'm kind of working to, if there's no games on, and I know I want to make that transfer 100%, whether the price rises or doesn't, then I'll make it early to save the money. I think if a player gets injured at training or falls ill during the week, I think that's just really unlucky, and I'll take the risk. But like this week, like I want Ben Davies, but there's no way I'm bringing him in until he's played in that Champions League game. We've seen Pogba get injured tonight. Ben Davies gets injured tomorrow, then suddenly we've got another option, maybe at Spurs, or I just don't get him and I make my transfer elsewhere. So I've already taken a 0.1 hit. Gabbiadini is also falling, so I'm potentially going to lose 0.2 this week before I even make a move. But I think that's probably worth it in the long run, because I'm not quite sure what I want to do, and I don't want to rush into a decision that I might later regret. So wait for me if you can. But if there's no games, I'm happy to still make it early to save some money.
And Az, are you playing the prices at all this year?
No, one of my policies at the start of the season was to make my transfers always on a Friday, because I before it's burnt me so many times. I'm getting Aguero, I think last year or the year before, and then he got injured. I had that to deal with, things like that. I think with the price rises, what I normally sort of look at is the Man United players, because they're backed. They've got the most fans. They've got, they're in good form. And you look at Pogba and Mkhitaryan, both in great form. They've only gone up 0.3 in 4 weeks. So that tells me there is something a bit funny about the prices this year. So I think until we've got a bit more data, if we're using sort of the sites to look at the potential price rise, it's worth just waiting for a few more weeks just to we've got a bit more clarity about what's happening.
And Granville, I mean, you've not been a big player of the prices, have you?
Not particularly, but I think what I'm tending to do these days is just play it early because I don't want to spend the whole week thinking about doing the transfer that I did on the Friday anyway, and I lose 0.1. It's just to kind of just take me out of that zone to know and just to sort of sit on the players. But I have done Davis early because of the price rise, so I do, I still do look at them, but because I had 2 free transfers this week, I thought there's not a great risk in doing one because, if it doesn't, if he does get injured, then I'll just have to spend that transfer removing him or getting someone else or fixing it. So having the 2 transfers just gives that extra bit of flexibility.
Yeah, it gives you
but now but now that cushion has been used because Pogba's injured. So I'm going to have to find a way of removing him. I might actually spend the 4 anyway. I was considering it and changing votes because that was probably a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I play them early. If there's a player I really want and there's no matches, like Andy says, I'll go early, no doubt about it. Yeah. Europe does put me off, although we got away with it last year, like Jonty said. But tonight, that's there you go. It's a start warning, isn't it? I mean, straight away, first match day of the group stages, bang, big player injured.
I don't think it's changed. I don't think it's changed the fact that I did Davis because I think I would have done that anyway. Yeah. And then switch. So I don't think that's a big deal. And that's what I was saying about the flexibility of having the 2 transfers. So I'm just going to have to swap Pogba, and I've got lots of choices of players I can get. I'll probably look to Mkhitaryan. I mean, it's the obvious move to make.
That's what I'm going to do.
The other thing I could do is get a cheaper midfielder and upgrade Vokes, but I'm kind of reluctant to do that because I'm like you, sitting on 2 cheap midfielders. And one of them's Atsu, who I don't know why Rafa didn't play him at the week, didn't start him at the weekend. But it's really frustrating when a player comes on and gets you 1 point, and you don't get a chance all game really with him.
He was away with Ghana, and I think we saw it a lot, more so than I've noticed in previous international breaks. A lot of rest and rotation as a result of the internationals, and Atsu, Yoshida were rested because they were away in international. So we can't go, Yoshida's out of favour or Atsu's out of favour with any real certainty because of the international factor.
It still gives you that element. It's that element of doubt though now that I've got out with Atsu, whether because he didn't. I'm sure there were other players that he didn't drop or didn't rest who went away. I can't think any off the top of my head, but if he's going to be the fall guy rather than say Richie, I'd rather have Richie if I'm going to have a Newcastle player. But there are other options. There's a Stoke player, Choupo-Moting, who seems to be playing up front more or less. Who I could swap Pogba for and then upgrade. I could get Firmino.
Jonty, I mean, you're more cautious, are you, the price?
Yeah, I'm always.
Do you go early as well?
Points, not pounds, to people all the time, relentlessly and annoyingly as well. And because people are asking me things, what should I do for this particular transfer decision? And they're saying, like this week, a guy was saying, Me's a real problem. I've got to get rid of him. I said, what? He's just got a clean sheet. Look at his home fixtures to come. What's the point? He's going down in price. I've got to get rid of him. This is what people are just basing their judgments. And I keep saying there's 5 million people playing. About half are probably going to leg it by Christmas, and then another 1 million or so. Then, so you're basing your transfer judgments on a big bulk of 5 million people who don't care and don't know what they're doing. So it just seems odd. I think the best thing to do is just try and ignore it. Just try and blank it out. So I've had Richie fall in price. I don't mind because he seems to be chipping away, getting me points, and me might drop in price incredibly, but I don't mind because as we'll come to it a bit later, if we get a chance to talk about cheap defenders, he could become very handy. That's the way I look at it. I'm just trying to block out the fact that you've got millions of people who are just doing crazy things like getting rid of Salah before he scores 11 points, that kind of stuff.
The thing is, though, when it's a player like Dan or me or Fraser, they're not going to go back up. They're not going to have a rush. It's not like De Bruyne or even someone like Gabbiadini who might have a run of goals and go back up. So it becomes a bit of a slippery slope, and I don't like losing value at this stage of the season, which is why the Wild Cup was played, because I do think 0-2, 0-3, when you start losing that much, it does. So many times last season and the season before, I go to make a transfer and I go, oh, I'm 0-1 short. And I just don't want to I want to try and avoid, it's going to happen, but I want to do everything I can to avoid it within the realms of, possibility. And that's why I got rid of Dan and Fraser in the wild card. And that's why I've got my eye on everyone who's on the verge of a drop. And if they're a player that I don't want in 2 or 3 weeks, I would consider getting rid. But it depends on that player, what they've got coming up, and what the alternatives are. But I just think that those 4 or 5 defenders are it's very odd. I just don't know what's going on with them. Maybe it is the size of the player base. Maybe that's affected it. But it just seems they're a bit more vulnerable than they used to be. The defenders' prices never change quickly, and yet these guys are all on 90% and about to drop. So
I think some of the reasons why we get certain players in, by we, I mean people who look at things like underlying stats or the fixture list coming up or the form. So Ben Mee is a good example. He rotates literally perfectly in terms of ease of fixtures with the Stoke defender for the foreseeable. And he's up there with the top defenders for shots in the box. So he's got that goal threat as well. So we're looking at things like that. And I think, okay, well, maybe he's not going to rise in price, but to drop in price. But most people aren't looking at those things. And he may not score any goals, and he may not keep any clean sheets at home. So they might be proved right. But that's the thing. And so they're not really looking at that. So that's why, players like Pogba, for example, have been rising. People have heard of him. They know about him. It's it's easy, and also he is scoring. It's easy to watch him on Match of the Day. Wow, look at Pogba. Ben Mee's not sexy.
No, none of these 4 or 5 players are, I guess, and that's the thing. But I guess with Mane and Pogba injured, I think people are going to have better things to do. So I think the traffic in those areas will slow right down. So I don't think they'll drop this week as a result of that. I think a lot of people have got fires to put out as a result of those problems. Best strikers, Jonty?
Yeah, we've got loads of questions here. What I'll do is I'll kind of go through them all, and then I guess you just pick one. So, I mean, it's 2 key themes: expensive ones, cheap ones. So, Koki Smurf, all top strikers delivered last week, game week 4, and in the main have great fixtures this week too. So we've mentioned Kane, Lukaku, but there's also Lacazette scored, Morata scored as well, and then you've got the Man City lads as well. So, but he says, which 2 of these are the best to own? And Jigger and Pony asks, is a Kane, Lukaku, Morata, or Jesus frontline doable? So this is going beyond just a mere Firmino as a 3rd striker. And Team Cruel says, time to go heavy in attack? BS10 asks, what does Jesus have to do to become an option for us? Or is it just not worth it over Firmino? So the rest are about largely about cheaper strikers. So just kind of stick with those expensive ones. So yeah, leave it up to you lot.
Oh, Andy, how you think? You've got a Gabbiadini at the moment. So are you going up to Firmino as well?
This is the decision I've got to make this week, and I'm actually finding it really tough because I similar to last year, had Austin doing really well. He got injured, and then I went through I think it was Carroll and somebody, I can't remember who else I got. And in the end, I just decided to go 3-5. That's why I went 3-5-2, because I was sick of changing that 3rd striker. And I already feel like I'm getting there already. I've had Gabbiadini. I think Abraham, is Swansea going to score enough goals? Is he good enough? I don't know. Joselu, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, his stats are ridiculous, but I don't think he's going to keep that up. Are Newcastle going to score enough goals? I'm not sure about that. So then I have to get Firmino, but that means I can't upgrade my defence. It makes it a lot tougher to get Ben Davies in. So it's really a balancing act. So I've got Kane, Lukaku, and Firmino. I can see why everyone's going for that. But to be able to get Firmino and Davies, I'm actually looking at maybe dropping Lukaku, which, considering he scored 4 and 4 and has done absolutely nothing.
6 and 6.
Yeah, 4 and 4 in the league, I think. He's done absolutely nothing to warrant a drop, apart from the fact he's more expensive. Now, because I've looked at being able to afford that, I've now talked myself into the fact that Jesus is a great option. And I think he's been a bit unlucky with his minutes. Obviously, he was taken off because of the red card. I think he was taken off early this week just because they were smashing it and he wanted to rest him. So I still think he's the number 1 choice. And he's done really well in limited minutes. So what can he do in more minutes is the way I'm kind of looking at. And City's next 6, I think, are better than Man United's. Yeah. But Lukaku's probably still on penalties, and his ownership is huge. So I don't know. Basically, I think I'm going to get Firmino for Gabbiadini because I'm sick already of thinking about which cheap striker to get. And I think as soon as one of them doesn't do well, I'm going to want to swap them out. So that's the way I'm looking at those three. So Kane, Lukaku, and Firmino, but maybe swap Lukaku to balance my team out elsewhere.
So what will that mean for your midfield then? What will your midfield look like then?
So I've got Mkhitaryan, Eriksen, Salah, and Atsu.
And
Carroll.
Yeah, okay.
Similar to you.
Yeah, funny that. Yeah.
Great midfield. But I don't see any reason to drop any of those three midfielders right now. So the big decision is whether I go Firmino or go cheap. And I'm not sure about Abraham or Joselu. Don't know.
I know. I wanted Abraham. I was very close going Abraham and Alonso in the wild card. I did it the first week. Then I watched on Sunday, and I'm glad I didn't because Swansea just. Yeah, and this is the concern. I don't want to spend that much on a third striker. Like you, it would be nice to find a 6-5, 7 million option who can do 15 goals, but I don't know if there is.
It's like Chris Wood.
Or go 3-5-2. But
yeah, but I don't think there's enough to go 3-5-2. You really need kind of the Mahrez at 5.5 or whoever at 6.5, and it's just I don't think there's someone there yet.
There's no Josh King there. No.
Yeah, Josh King. Yeah.
Yeah. Az, what about you? How you feeling about the front three?
So I feel like I'm very much in the minority here, but I'm just not feeling the Firmino love at all. I just think their games coming up they've struggled with in the past. So Burnley, I don't think they're going to roll them over. I think in the past they've struggled to break teams like that down. They've got Mane out, who was so important for them in that sort of match. And I think Vardy at the same price is the one that I'm going to go for because I've got Chicharito, who just looked completely off the pace next to Carroll on yesterday night, and he got subbed. So I think with Pogba out, I'm probably going to go for a cheapy midfielder and Vardy, or maybe give Chicharito one more week. I'm not sure, but I think Vardy 8.5. They've got our team. They've got great games coming up. They've got Huddersfield, Liverpool, Bournemouth, West Brom, Swansea. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. He's taking penalties. He looks in great form. So yeah, he's the one that I'd get for 8.4.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, and Johnson, you're looking at Firmino, aren't you, for sure? Or I mean, the case for Vardy is quite strong.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, I like Vardy as well. I mean, we've had a few other questions. I just wanted to say, Footnik PL was echoing what Andy was saying about is it actually worth keeping Lukaku? He's also thinking that as well. Can Jesus or Morata actually match him? That is something there. But yeah, for me, I think I'm going to go with Firmino because it makes sense for lots of reasons. It does save the effort of because you know that he's going to be involved. He's the penalty taker for Liverpool. It's traditionally a fantastic position to be. We've seen that with Gerrard. Even James Milner became a great FPL option with penalties. And they've got some reasonable fixtures. And we know with Liverpool, they're unpredictable, which means they can do well in the tougher fixtures. It's a player I like. I'm actually looking potentially at wildcarding next international break. It's traditionally a more lucrative time, but it's also, I think, a good time with the fixture swings as well. So I think I'm going to give Firmino a go until then. But like Vardy's the one I'm looking at as well there. So I think that. But just a quick mention of my goals imminent table. Joselu, yes, he looks a really good option there. He is absolutely racking up the underlying stats for Newcastle. I've got Richie, so I'm not even going to entertain the thought of a double up for Newcastle attack. But I think if someone wanted to go downwards from a Gabbiadini, I think Joselu might be the option.
Yeah, Granville, how are you feeling about this? Because you got Jesus, haven't you? So you're not uncomfortable about not having Lukaku as a United fan.
I have got Lukaku.
Oh, you got Lukaku. You haven't got Kane, have you?
Yeah. Does that really surprise you? I mean, this is what I've been saying the whole season. I haven't had him all season, and I chose not to have him as because I needed a City player. I needed a City attacking player, and I didn't fancy Kevin De Bruyne. I think you all had Kevin De Bruyne. I'm pretty sure you all had him, and you're all going to end up having the same strike force again next week. So you need me to come on to have a bit of dive. But myself and Az are out on our own. I'm just looking at. I might actually just go 3-5-2. I think I am going to, because I just don't want to spend that much on my strike force. I think I can get away with not having Kane. I know it's a risk. I've got Ali and I've got Davis, Now, it's a question of whether those can cover Kane's output, and I'm sure that Kane, he's going to start scoring goals again. I'm sure of it. But at 12.4, it's a lot, and you need him to be scoring a brace every week, more or less, to be able to justify it. Well, certainly once every 2 games, and I think Jesus is going to keep up with him. I really do.
You think he'll keep pace with Kane? I think he could keep pace with Lukaku. I don't know about Kane. I think Kane's different level. Don't know. We'll see.
But it's not just about Kane versus Jesus, is it? It's about Kane, and then also having because you can back up. You can have Ali and Eriksen if you want to cover a lot of Kane's points. Whereas there's no alternative really for me in the City midfield that's cheap enough to be able to cover Jesus or Aguero.
I agree with that.
I don't agree with the cover thing though. I don't agree with that because you can have Kane and those two anyway if you want. Like whether Kane's a good pick doesn't matter whether you've got Ali or Eriksen.
But then you're not going to have a City forward. And I think
exactly. You can't have everyone. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
I'm going without a City forward. I just don't want. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just a choice I'm making. That I think because City with Pep is just so attacking that everyone is going to score points every week. I mean, I just don't see them not scoring 1 or 2 goals every single week. Whereas a team like Liverpool. They will have bad games. They really will, and even Spurs. And the other thing about Spurs is the Wembley factor, and it's still there. They haven't, as far as I can tell, they haven't actually solved that. Kane scored his goals away from home last week. There's still a question mark about how Spurs are performing at home, particularly when a team parks the bus.
I don't know. I think not having Kane going
their
into the Swansea game
crazy. Swansea, West Ham, Huddersfield, Bournemouth.
I mean, like you're saying that you need a brace a game back from Kane. That could easily happen over that run. For those 4 games, you could get 10 goals. He's that good, isn't he? I mean, that's the problem.
But so could Jesus.
He's not. Jesus can't match Kane. I don't think he's at that level.
But Kane isn't playing at White Hart Lane. That's the point I'm making.
Maybe.
I might be wrong, and I can change it if I need to. But I think at this minute, I just want to be sure that Kane is going to be able to produce what he's been producing at White Hart Lane every other week.
Yeah,
I think if anyone's going to go that route, Kane-less, and go for someone like Jesus, it's what you do with that other 2 million. That is all the key to it. And if you can, I think that 2 million is trickier. It's kind of advanced level, but if you can use that 2 million wisely, then I think that extra 2 million with another player plus. So for example, you could have a front line of Morata, Jesus, and Lukaku. Yeah. Now that could outscore Firmino, Kane, and Lukaku. Could do.
You could do, but I'm sitting with Alonso at the back because I just think he's so attacking that I just like having someone at the back who I can rely on.
It's the captaincy though, isn't it, as well?
I still think the jury's out on Alonso as well. Are Chelsea going to keep as many clean sheets? I know he gets a lot of attacking returns, but a lot of his points also came from defensive returns last year. I just don't know if they're going to keep the same amount of clean sheets. I don't know if Alonso's really a factor, especially and I think we've got a question on it later, especially when Ben Davies is around. Yeah. I mean, he's far and away better than Alonso right now.
I'm sitting on both of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and you've got them as well, have you, Az?
And Kolasinac. It's great. Yeah. I'm having a great time.
But see, I downgraded Kolasinac because I needed I felt I needed to get Pogba, so I've got 2 out of 3.
Okay, let's move on. Let's look at mid-price midfielders. Questions on that, Jonty?
Yeah, so Mike Harbrow, a frequent questioner, looks at Gross. So, so everyone's looking at his score and thinking, yes, here we go, nice cheap midfielder. But are Brighton the new Barcelona? He jests. In all seriousness, he says, did we jump to conclusions too early about the Seagulls? And are they actually now worth investing in? Perhaps Az should answer this first. Was that a one-off for you, or do you think you're going to get some more from them?
I thought I might get asked the question on Gross, so I found a nice little stat. Did you know that he's creating a chance more often than your mate Moy?
I know. What, this season?
this season. Yeah,
is that possible?
Every 47 minutes, and I think Moyes at every 48 minutes. There's not much in it, but it's a little bit higher. But he's also lower than Xhaka, so you know it's. I think we touched on it earlier. I think Brighton aren't going to do that every game. They're still a team who are defensive under Houghton. Their striker is Hemed, who isn't the best. So I think you're going to be, and Gross isn't normally a player who scores goals. So he's not going to get 18 points again, but it was great. And I still think Knockout is probably the Brighton midfielder to go for if you're just getting on board with Brighton.
Lucky Pass asked about Choupo-Moting. Is he this season's Josh King? I mean, Andy, are we going to get another Josh King? I mean, that's the key. It's like another Mahrez, another Josh King. That's what we want. Because all these flash in the pan, 6 million, 5/5s, Richarlison, Jesse, they come and go, don't they? We saw it with Kapuri and Allen. Josh King stuck around and delivered. Are we going to get it this season, and who is it going to be?
Who it's going to be? I wish I knew that. I think I'd be doing much better than I am now. I don't know about him. I think everyone's saying he played up front, but people were telling me that the game before he played out on the wing and Hesse was the one up front. So
well, no, Hesse played up front against United, and Choupo-Moting played up front in the previous two, and he swapped it against United. Okay. Didn't do him any harm though, did it?
No, he did well. I mean, he. Funny enough, I did actually look at his stats for that United game when I was down at the pub. Yeah, because I noticed him on some table I was looking at, but I never seriously considered him, and I'm still not, to be honest. This is why I've kind of got the structure I have, because there is no one in that bracket that I really want. I think Gross is great if you had him 18 points. Obviously, you're not going to sell him now, but I wouldn't be bringing him in. I don't think he's had 2 shots on target all season. He's got 2 goals. That's the first time he's actually got something on target. Was in that game.
Jinx him again, Andy. You did that last.
Yeah. I just think people are getting him in expecting another haul, are asking for trouble. And like, if you already had him, it's great because you can go a few games now without getting anything. You've kind of got your points per game from him. But there's just no one I really fancy. That's why I've got Atsu still, because I just don't want to spend a transfer swapping him for someone I'm not that keen on, really. So for me, Choupo-Moting looks fine against United. Is he going to continue it? I think the jury's still out, and I don't know if it's worth kind of jumping on those bandwagons just yet. They're just not doing enough for me. I mean, Richie, someone mentions, he's looking okay, a few assists here and there. Hopefully pop up with a goal soon. But just no one in that bracket is really doing it for me right now.
How about Doucouré?
Yeah,
well, similar thing, really. To be fair, Watford are looking much better this year. But then a few weeks ago, Richarlison was the man to get in. So I don't know. I don't know about them.
John, you're scratching your chin. What's your views on them? You've got Moy and Richie, so there's quite a bit of money tied up there. Are you looking at a downgrade to one of these two?
Well, I'm looking. I mean, as I said, I'm looking at wildcarding probably at game week. Is it after game week 7? So I'm looking at moving them on. I think Richie might want to be moved on around then anyway, because he has a tendency to pick up yellow cards, and he might actually reach the stage where we're going to be suspended by then. And Moy, I mean, it's good. He's good while the fixtures are there. But I think Richie is a good option at the moment while the fixtures are strong. He is just chipping away. He's chipping away. He's getting 5-6 points, and that's what he's going to. That's what he's there for, really. That's what that price should be getting you. And I think that's good. Choupo-Moting and Richarlison, all the others, they got great underlying stats as well, but I'd like to reserve judgment until I see him a bit more. The other thing about Stoke, and I think with Burnley as well, so those that got Brady in, I think they're very much fixture-based in terms of home and away. They're two actually quite good teams for fantasy managers. They do very, very well at home and not so great away. So they're the kind of players that if you do have them, perhaps something like a Stoke Burnley midfield, if you're minded to do that kind of rotation in midfield, that might be quite a good option. But I think people are asking because, as we've heard, Pogba might be injured, might be out for this. Well, he's injured, but he might be out for this weekend. And of course, Mane as well. People are looking for replacements. So I think there's no point us saying, "Oh, Christian Eriksen's good, isn't he?" Or Dele Alli's good. People know all about that. Mkhitaryan, they know about that. But I suppose what we're offering here really is some perhaps cheap alternatives. They want to free up some money and perhaps get the likes of Harry Kane or Davies in.
Well, I mean, I'm clear what I see. I'm going 3 big, 2 4.5s. It's the same as Andy's setup, except he's got Atsu and I've got 2 4.5s. I'm convinced that is the way that a lot of people are going to end up going in their wild cards. They're going to go heavy up top, and there's no choice then. So I don't see until I see a 5.5 or 6 million breakout and look like they can do a Josh King, I don't see the point in doing any more than a 5 or a 4.5 in the 4th and 5th midfield slot, which is exactly what I've done, which is what Andy's done. And I think when the wild cards roll in 3 or 4 weeks, it's probably what you guys will do as well. But we'll see.
I want to go 5 at the back.
Well, that's another option.
Just get Mendy,
you love
Davies, Trippier, Kolasinac. I mean, they are as good as any 6 million.
I must admit, I'm coming around to I've looked to just scrapping my third forward and getting
join me. Fun.
It's a way. It's a new route. It's a new 3-5-2, isn't it?
I think 3-5-2 next wild cards. I think in the there's going to be a lot in the second international break. I think 3-5-2 could be the one there because there's people saying, and also Chelsea's fixtures get better. I think a Chelsea defence is going to be really key. Cahill is cheaper, 6'3" now. So this is, and we've got those. And Cahill's going to be nailed on, and then you've got Azpilicueta who scored tonight in the Champions League. I think you've got actually quite good value in that 6 minutes. So yeah, I can't think advanced to my wild card, but I'm definitely not necessarily thinking about the midfield. I'm thinking about kind of boosting the defence a little bit.
Yeah, I think Firmino's returns in the next 6 weeks are absolutely vital because if he disappoints, which we know he can because he's done it a lot, then everyone's going to move him out and go. I think they probably will go 3-5-2 because there isn't really a convincing third striker. Vardy perhaps, but so I've got and I will probably do that as well. If Firmino has a run of 6 games and gets an assist and that's it, then we got money. And I think his form is crucial. But equally, Liverpool get 2 or 3 penalties and he gets a couple of assists, and then it ticks on. So I think Firmino's a key player this season because of where he sits in the price bracket and the dearth of options at 6, 5, 7 million up front. And that affects those 2 midfield slots for me. I don't think we can go a couple of 6 millions or a 5-5 and a 5-5 when you've got 3 big hitters up front. I mean, Granville, you've got a cheap midfield, haven't you, at the moment? I mean, do you see that changing?
It just depends on Loftus-Cheek, but he's going to get a run. I think he is. I know he was injured, wasn't he, or he's ill?
He's got an injury, and he trained, and then he did. I don't know why he didn't turn up.
So actually, I'm quite happy to sit on him anyway because he's the cheapest starting midfielder, and it's Atsu who would be the issue for me right now, and Vokes who have got up front. Now, what I am considering is going for the cheapest possible starting forward, who at the minute is Hemed from Brighton.
What is he 4-5?
He's 4-9. Is there a 4-5 starter? Is there a 4-5 starter? I don't think there is. So he is the cheapest at this minute, and I actually think that he's going to get a run because is it Murray? I think he's getting on a bit. I'm not sure what options. I mean, Johnson will be able to tell us about the options that Brighton have, but I'm quite prepared to get him and just to stick him on my bench every week and actually play 4-4-2.
I think I was going to just say if people are following what Randall's thinking of doing, definitely Hemed. He is the only one that's going to start, I think.
Interesting. I mean, I did it with Anachibi last year and it worked really well until Anachibi got cropped, which was inevitable, wasn't it? But,
and it's amazing because you sat on him for so long. You sat on him for weeks and weeks and weeks and got away with it.
Yeah.
You didn't need that, that substitute.
No,
which I've never gone. I've never gone for that tactic of non-playing substitutes, but it seemed to work out for you.
It's luck, though, isn't it? You need that bit of luck with injuries, and we've seen with Mane and Pogba how hard it can hit when all of us could have owned those 2 players easily. They're so well owned. Let's talk about wing-backs, John T.
Well, speaking of defenders earlier, Dominion is Ben Davies, a season keeper, or at least a great option until Rose comes back. And Somo is Davies now the number 1 fullback or indeed defender option ahead of Alonso. Well, I've got a table here. Looking at chances created. Top is Özil, then Mkhitaryan, then Davies. So Davies is just behind Mkhitaryan and Özil, and he is by far the top chance creator for defenders. It's 5.7, I believe now. I just think you've got to look at clean sheets, that amount of chances created. So he's rivaling Mkhitaryan, who everyone's desperate to get in midfield, and he's playing for a Spurs side that is pretty good defensively like that. And he just looks nailed on whilst Danny Rose isn't around, which does seem to be going on and on and on. That's why I'm looking to get him in. And yeah, I mean, there's just nothing wrong with him. He's just such a great price as well. He's performing like an 8 to 9 million midfielder. Wow.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it, Andy? I mean, there's nothing to think about.
Yeah, pretty much. You've nailed it. I think he was already producing like really good stats before the last game. Then he goes and gets 2 assists, clean sheet. I mean, what's not to love at 5.7? And I think, like I said this the other day, I think Danny Rose has gotten to the point where it's almost like Costa's 5th yellow last year. It's just never coming. So I'm just going to get him in. And again, I got a wild card in the back pocket. If Rose does come back, then it's an easy out to swap him for someone else. I mean, there's the kind of debate that you could wait for Aurier, but there's nothing to say he's going to come straight into the team now. Trippier obviously did well at the weekend. So I'm just going to get him. And if Rose does come back in a few weeks, then I'll transfer him out. And if he doesn't, then I just think 5.7 million, he's the best defensive option in the game at the moment.
Is there any fear that you will want 3 Spurs attackers at any point?
Maybe, but I mean, it would involve transferring out Salah or Mkhitaryan.
He is a Spurs attacker.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is it swapping out Salah or Mkhitaryan, but it's also upgrading them. So I'd have to find money elsewhere. I want Ben Davies, to be honest.
Yeah. So as you in the same camp?
Yeah, I got him last week for a hit, and to me, he's the best option. And I just don't think even a fully fit Danny Rose isn't walking back into that team with the way he's playing, with all Danny Rose's comments at the start, with his injury. Like, Davies is going to get a run in that team. He's doing everything you could possibly want from a defender. And I think even if you need a hit, just get him, because he's too good to ignore.
Yeah, he's a gift, isn't he, Granville, surely?
Yeah, I've accepted the gift. I got him in yesterday, right, and avoided the price rise. I'm surprised you didn't do it, Mark.
No, I was close. I'm annoyed at myself. That obviously the Kane decision, the Lacazette, but that Ben Davies really hurts, actually, because
it's even more vital that I have him because I haven't got Kane. So it's just another cover for people who haven't got Davies in yet.
Yeah,
it could obviously all change, but at this minute, Davies is in my team, and him and Alonso are starting every week, plus probably 2 of the others.
It's surprising, John. He's taking more set pieces than I thought as well. And he's having a few off Ericsson, which is
he's dominating really corners. Yes. I mean, that's the thing. He's performing. He's performing like an Ericsson. If you look at the underlying stats, and indeed, he's already got 2. He's got 2 scores of 14. We're only 4 games in. He's had 2 FPL scores of 14. That's incredible for 5.7. This time last season, Walker was posting those kinds of figures. I didn't get him in, and he kept going up and up and up and up and up. And then, so I just think Davies, get him in very soon, definitely.
Yeah, he's going to shoot. I mean, Swansea at home, former club, Swansea weak down that right-hand side. He's going to get points again.
He's borderline captain material for those who are Kaneless.
Steady.
For the Mavericks out there, not me, obviously. I'm too good.
Me. Have we got time to do cheapest chips with
defenders? Go on. Lots of people have been asking. So Bezza's best 4.5 options, and I just wanted to bring in something. This is something one of our posters, William Prunier, posted as a hot topic on Fantasy Football Scout, which is, he said, have a look at Burnley and Stoke. And so I did. As I said earlier, they are good teams at home, not so good away. But so after this weekend, you can get, by switching between, say, for example, Ben Mee and, I don't know, whichever, a Stoke defender of your choice, you can get this for the following: Huddersfield at home, Southampton at home, West Ham at home, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle at home, Leicester at home. It goes on. I stop then. It just keeps going on. It's just field that slot there. It may not work out, but you've got a really good chance, I think, of racking up some clean sheets across there. So I think a Stoke and a Burnley defender, if you're looking to get some 4.5 options in, that's what I would go for.
The trouble is with that, there's only Cameron who's 4.5. And so you've got
and Vimmer, who's 4.4.
Yeah, but it's uncertainty, isn't there? That's the only thing. It's annoying because both the 2 that you think you could get in are not quite certain.
Lots of people are willing to spend 5 million on a Southampton defender. I think looking at those fixtures and the way Stoke are at home and the way that they dovetail, I'd spend 5 million.
Yeah, Southampton are a very annoying team. So 4-5. I mean, I'm going to until Saturday. Let's see what happens Saturday. But I'm going to say Alexander-Arnold, because I think if he plays against Burnley, we're all going to want him because he's a good attacking player. So, sorry, what's that?
I'm just not going to want him. He could.
You're not
a hat trick against Burnley. I'm just not good, because there is always that threat with Joe Gomez there.
No, I don't see it. I think that Joe Gomez will play the games that are tougher and are needed defending. I'm surprised he didn't play Joe Gomez at City, but I guess it was down to the under-21 appearance. We can't read anything into that. We probably can't read much into tomorrow night.
It's uncertainty. That's what I don't like about it. You know, when you get like a Stoke defender at home or Burnley defender at home, it's like uncertainty out the window. It's just like nailed on. Might not get a clean sheet, but that's your hope. But a player he might not play, might do, for a Liverpool defence that is sketchy beyond belief. You know, Watford got 3 against them, so you know, I just don't think Liverpool.
They're not sketchy beyond. It's 7 clean sheets in 10 Premier League games to Liverpool, and this is what I said earlier about everyone goes Liverpool can't defend. Well, just everything says they can.
I think those at Vicarage Road would probably have a different.
Yeah, I know that was one of the.
And I suspect the Man City fans might after their team put 5 up against them. So.
No, I mean, Liverpool aren't as bad defensively as people make out, and I just think that it's a shame about Moreno and Robertson, and I think that Alexander will get. Look, he'll be under pressure to play Alexander Arnold. Everyone loves him at that club. He is the more talented of the 2 defenders. Gomez is a better defender, but Alexander Arnold. Klein down that right hand side, putting more crosses and received more passes in the final third than any other defender. So we know Klopp likes to attack down the fullbacks. So I think it's Alexander, but it might take time. But I think that's going to happen. But we'll see. Burnley will be very interested to see who he starts. But it'll be rotation for a while. But hopefully we'll be able to work it out.
I just want to throw another name in, and you won't like this. Scott Dan. I know he's. But the thing is, with Crystal Palace going for Roy Hodgson, it's going to be back to what Palace do. And what do Palace do? They basically aim the ball at Scott Dan's head. That's what they've done for the past 3 seasons successfully. And whenever they veer away from it, it doesn't go. So I had a look at cheap defenders. So I set a limit of 5 million shots inside the box. Hey, guess who's top? It's Scott Dan. And that's where he's going to be. I just think he's a bit of it. I know Palace have got some tricky fixtures coming up, but I don't know.
He's fun.
Should have had a hat trick at the weekend.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a cheap defender who could have got a hat trick, Scott Dan's your man.
Yeah, the ball has still been a job.
Yeah, he mentions like Norton and me and these players. I mean, me's great in rotation with West Brom as well, which is why I was tempted to get me. Norton. Don't know really. Swansea Sunday was so disappointing. But Andy, what do you think about these 4-5s? Is there any that catches your eye at all?
Funnily enough, we'll come on to it in a minute when I do my transfers. I might need a 4-5, and I'm actually looking at the Liverpool boys, Moreno or Trent. It is risky, but I've already got Norton in. Obviously, he's not now a right wing back, potentially in the back 4. So maybe actually Fernandes is probably the one to go for there. But there's no one exciting in 4-5s, I don't think. The Liverpool, Moreno and Trent. If they're nailed, we don't know that. I think Moreno's maybe even a bit more nailed than Trent right now. I think he's looking okay. But yeah, otherwise it's the ones you've already mentioned really that I'm looking at. There's no one. I don't have a name out of the ordinary. Like me, maybe I might get in and Wimmer for rotation. But I'm actually tempted to spend a bit more on defence and not worry about these players.
As what about you?
I mean, I'm plugging all my money into defence, so I'm not even considering the 4.5s. Maybe Daniels at 4.9. He hit the lowest I'll go, but no one else.
Yeah, Daniels is forgotten.
I've got Daniels, but he's got Brian at home this week, which looks good. But after that, it's looking bleak for Bournemouth, I think.
So Jonty, are you going to go the me-Stoke rotation then?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I've already got me, so I think, as I said, this potential wildcard coming up soon, I might look to that because this rotation just goes on for ages, so I might have a look at it first. But also, get a bit more info. I think I do need a bit more information about Stoke. If Wimmer or Cameron are nailed, well, then that's a no-brainer, I think. Yeah. But I think we'll know in a couple more games. I think because we need Shawcross was injured. I want to see him back just to see where it all fits in. Is he going to stick with 3 at the back? Is he going to stick with 3 at the back every game? I just need a bit more info. But you know, as said, you pay for what you get, really. I mean, I think they've actually priced the defenders pretty well. Largely, I don't think they could have predicted Davies. I think they thought Rose might have come back, but I think they've largely done it. So for your 4.5s, I don't think you're actually going to get too much. So we're all talking about how brilliant all our different 4.5 defenders are. They're actually all a bit rubbish. That's why they're 4.5. You really need to be spending much more, 5.5, 6. You know, getting your Kolasinac, getting Davies, getting your Chelsea lads as well, who are cheaper now. Cahill, Aspilicueta.
Well, that's what Granville's done. So he's not going to bother about 4-5s either. He's in the AS camp, isn't he? So you've only got one. You've got one slot, really, haven't you? 'Cause you've got Alonso Davis. Who's going to fill that other slot? You're going to alternate.
I guess so. But as I said before, I might start playing 4 of them because of my sort of 2 weak midfielders and a weak striker. I think Ake. I still think he's good. I still think he's good. He does get forward and he does get the under. You know, he is a target for bonus. So I would probably pick him to start most weeks with the 3. And the other 2 I've got are Sutner and Hegazi. Well, who knows what's happening with Hegazi? I got him at the point at which he started not performing as a centre back. I don't know. I think he was taken off early, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he'll be all right for West Ham because they've got Carroll, haven't they? So he'll play Hegazi, I think. But I think he's gone. I think they're going to play Gibbs left back, Neon right back, Dawson and Evans. I think. And Macaulay. I think so.
Clark could be. You were mentioning about Elliott Elliott was probably the best choice goalie. I think maybe one of those defenders. I am looking at Clark. I mean, he does get forward. He goes up for corners. I think he's a good shout.
Well, they got 2 goals from corners already, haven't they? So
there's Lascelles as well, but I don't know much about him. I don't know whether he's really that attacking. I don't know. I think that was his first shot. Actually, it was his first chance. So I'd probably go for Clark if I was going to look for a.
Yeah, he got more shots last season. That's for sure. Okay, weekend preview, Jonty. Let's start this off. Clean sheets, then, I guess.
Yeah. So well, I never like to go first with these things. So who should we have first then? Granville. Let's go for Granville because he's come back in for this.
What are we doing? Clean sheets.
Clean sheets. Yeah.
Okay.
Partly, I knew you wouldn't have researched it as well.
No.
So cruel.
I haven't researched it, but I am actually going to say that I know that Southampton are really looking poor at the minute. They don't look like scoring a goal. And Crystal Palace, I mean, this is just a long shot. Crystal Palace, De Boer obviously has got fired. It might fire them up. That might be the clean sheet. It's the first game on the Saturday. I'll go for that.
I've got to say, Southampton don't look like scoring at all, do they? Well, mind you, Palace haven't scored either, so that's going to nil.
No, someone's going to give. But I just think with the change of manager, there was obviously some issue with De Boer. With the change of manager, maybe that's the first thing they'll do. Just keep it tight at the back.
That fella. John T, do you want to go next?
All right, I'll go. I've done my research. Well, no. Well, all right, I'm going to take Spurs against Swansea. There we go. Reason is Swansea aren't very good in attack away, and Spurs are really good defensively. Will Wembley affect? I don't know. I don't think Swansea. I don't think it'll aid them any especially. So yeah, Spurs.
Andy.
Just to jinx it even more, I'm going to back Daniels to get a clean sheet this week against Brighton, who, as I already said, very lucky to score last week. So not likely to do it again. So I'm going to go Bournemouth.
Thanks, Andy.
I'll tell you what, there's a few here, isn't there? I'm looking at this game. There's quite a lot of possible, apart from Sunday's games. Az, where are you going?
I'll go for Chelsea against Arsenal.
Okay, you are.
I just think Arsenal are rubbish, and I think they got a good win against Bournemouth, but I just don't think they're very good, so I don't think they score.
Right. Well, I'll have. Well, there's a couple I can have here. I could go Newcastle Stoke, I guess. I think that's a difficult. I mean, Newcastle look pretty surprising. Brighton and Hunt and Newcastle, you look at the stats, are right up there for defensive stats. And Huddersfield were until Monday. So the 3 promoted teams started really well defensively. So Newcastle Stoke, but I'll have Liverpool Burnley. I think they're going to win it a couple of goals to 0. And I'll do my fancy on a risk. I'll have Trent. Let's do it. It's a risk. I'll have him because he's perfect for this because he's a risk and he could deliver big if he plays. So I'll go Liverpool clean sheet and Trent my fancy on a risk. Andy, your fancy on a risk.
So I'm also going to take a Liverpool defender. I'm going to take Matip. I think when I watched Burnley against Palace, I don't think they dealt with set pieces and corners too well at all. And I know, obviously, Liverpool are kind of known for not dealing with them defensively. So I'm hoping he can get an attacking returns. And I don't see Burnley scoring. I certainly won't be betting any money on. So I'm going to take Matip from Liverpool.
No, you're right about that. I think they've conceded more chances in the box than any other team. mainly because of the weakness at set pieces. They have got. It's weird. You wouldn't have thought it, but they do. Yeah. As fantasy on a risk.
I'm going to take a player who I really want to bring in to my team, who is a 6.5 Man City midfielder by the name of Mendy, who would fit the bill of my team really nicely.
Yeah.
He is a defender.
Yeah,
but he's operating like a midfielder.
Yeah.
1% ownership against Watford. Good option, I think.
Yeah.
17 crosses, I think it was. He was like a machine. He's in my draft team, and I haven't played him yet. I've missed out on 10 points at the weekend, but yeah, he does look good. And the issue with him is the rotation, obviously. John, to your risk.
I've mentioned already, Scott Dan. I think something's going to give with Palace. I think having Roy Hodgson there is going to make them massively boring. I think he's going to say, get the ball up Scott Dan's head. And so I think he's going to get lots of chances. Southampton, I don't think they're that good defensively at the moment, as well as in attack. Scott Dan.
They're horrible, Southampton. They've tried.
Yeah, I hate them. I mean, as a club, they're fine. I have no animosity against it.
No,
fantasy assets. They're absolutely awful. The defence is poorly priced. It should be 4.5. Gabbiadini is awful. And in midfield, they've got a rotating bunch of overpriced midfielders who aren't doing anything. So as fantasy assets, they're absolutely atrocious. As a city, Southampton's a beautiful place, and all of their fans are gorgeous as well.
Have you got a flat down there you're renting out or something?
No, I've been there many times.
What about Middlesbrough? You got any property in Middlesbrough? No,
Middlesbrough, they are.
Granville, you fancy on you?
I'm going to go for the man who's had like loads of shots, and I think he's top of the goals in table is Joselu. Although I have seen his shots, and a lot of them are just like little pokes from outside the box. But one of them is bound to, bounce in front of the keeper and go over the top of him. I just think they're going to score against Stoke.
Yeah, no, Newcastle have started all right, and he has looked impressive stat-wise. So he could be the third striker. I know Andy's thinking about it. He was putting stuff out tonight about it. I don't know. We'll see. It's some good fantasy on a risk. It's a funny game week because we look at it and go, it's quite tough. But actually, there was some good risks there and lots of
defenders. In fact, that must never happen before.
Yeah. No, it's good. We'll see. Okay, thanks so much. It's been a long one. That was good though, wasn't it? That was like the old days, Granville.
I know, and I think it's because Jonty has got the confidence now to have a go, and I hope that when he plays his wild card, he's going to accept that we're going to be giving him. That's the way it is.
Yeah, of course it is. It's good fun. It's really good, and we'll see. We'll see if it still fails at the weekend. I can take it for 1 week, but if it starts, if I have a couple more mediocre,
I don't think it will. I think next weekend, because as we said at the beginning, a lot of the players that will do well, you already had anyway. So I think Captain Kane, you're going to do well. Firmino's going to do well.
We'll see. Firmino, did I? Let's not start again. God knows, we'll be here till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Are we doing transfers and captains quick?
Oh yes, of course. Yes, my God. Transfer, Harry Kane, captain, Harry Kane, done. Andy, what are you doing?
Oh, turning my camera off. We don't have enough time to talk about what I'm thinking transfer-wise. Gabbiadini is going to go. I just don't know whether I'm going Firmino, Abraham, whether I'm beefing up my defence or what. So I'm actually thinking about taking a hit, maybe even taking Lukaku out. So Gabbiadini is going to go. I just don't know how. I can get Firmino without taking a hit, but not getting Ben Davies. But I really want Davies, so I don't know. We'll see. And Captain Boring, it's going to be Kane. I just don't see Kane. I think is by far and away the best option this week.
That's what you game.
I could be very boring and just get Mkhitaryan for Pogba. I could be semi-boring and take a hit and get Vardy, or I could be ultra maverick and go 5 at the back and get Mendy in. So I don't know yet. Captain Kane.
Fascinating stuff. I'll come to you last, John. To Granville, what are you doing?
I'm going to be on my own here, aren't I? I don't have Kane, so I'm going for the next best option, who I think is the best option. Lukaku at home to a poor Everton side. Last game on the Sunday, I'll be sitting on him whilst Kane has failed to score against Swansea. That would be beautiful, though. Going into that game with Lukaku captain.
This is the issue. We haven't talked about it a lot, but this is the issue with getting rid of one of Kane and Lukaku. Is that if you captain the wrong one, at least you got the other. Whereas if you get rid of one of them, you're in trouble. Jonty, where are you going?
I'm going to take my first hit of the season, I think. I've got 3 million in the bank. I'm not quite sure how I've managed to accumulate this wealth, but probably because the rest of my team's so awful. So I've got all this money. So I'm going to put it back into my starting 11. So I'm going to get looking at Firmino in for Gabbiadini, and I'm going to get rid of Stevens for Davies. I think Stevens could cost me dear this week because he may play, but I just think long term, I think you're going to be looking at Van Dijk and Wesley Hoyt are going to be the centre back pairing, and I think Stevens is going to be in and out a bit.
Yeah, so. I mean, I got Cedric on the wild card, but after I've already had enough of them. You know, you're better off bailing on them.
I think you're okay with Cedric for a while because he's not going to get right. I just think with Stevens, if Stevens isn't playing, then I'm staring down the barrel of a Ben Mee gun against Firmino and Salah, who I own. So I don't want to do that.
I think with Southampton, just really quick as well. It's like their next 3 fixtures aren't great, so getting off them now is great, and you can see who does play over the next 3, and then maybe get back on them in game week 8.
Exactly, I'm happy to go back. Yeah, it says Manchester. I believe they're Manchester United in game week 6, so that's not a fixture I want to be playing any Southampton defenders in. So yeah, Andy's right.
They're very annoying. I mean, you don't have to take a hit, Georgie. You could always play the wild card.
I could.
Honestly, we'll leave it there. It's a good night for me.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.